The Week 16 NFL schedule for the 2025 season should bring some intriguing matchups with playoff hopes and dreams on the line. The Detroit Lions want to grab a much-needed win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Philadelphia Eagles have the chance to keep the Dallas Cowboys out of the postseason with a win tomorrow night. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers are fighting for a chance to take a lead, or the lead, in the NFC South. Hey there, welcome everybody to the Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by Michael Bullock. Unfortunately, due to work commitments beyond his control, good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening. Apologies for the late start. Not only obviously with MF, but Bullock waiting on him as well. So, but we're ready to go. So let's not waste too much time. Week 16 last night, Amazon Prime Video, Thursday Night Football. Whoa. The game of the week lived up to the hype and then some. The Seattle Seahawks defeating the Los Angeles Rams 38-37 in overtime on a 2-point conversion, no less, by Seattle to win it. The Seahawks improved to 12-3 on the season. Rams dropped to 11-4. The Seahawks go to Charlotte next week to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Rams have a Monday Night Football matchup against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta next Monday night. I mean, the numbers, insane. Absolutely insane by both of these, especially on the Rams side. I mean, these two teams combined for 996 total yards of offense, almost 1,000 yards of offense. Matthew Stafford had the game of his life. 29 of 49, 457 yards, 3 touchdowns. The running game, Kyron Williams, 70 yards. Blake Corum, rushing touchdown. Puka Nacua. 12 catches, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's right, 12 for 225 and 2 touchdowns. He is a monster. No bread, no water, just meat. And he feasted last night. But not even that. But unfortunately, that was not enough, even though the defense played very well. Poona Ford with a sack. Nate Landman with a sack. Kobe Turner, 1.5 sacks. Jared Verse, half a sack. And for Seattle, Sam Darnold, 22 of 34, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kenneth Walker III, 100 yards rushing even with a touchdown. Charbonnet with a rushing touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Barner with a receiving touchdown. And my God, what a game. What a game. Seattle winning it 38-37. You saw the craziest 2-point conversion you will ever see. And it had everything. Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. It had the feel of a playoff game. It really, really did. And now Seattle takes over first in the NFC West and now controls their own destiny for the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're at Carolina, and then they have another game after that. And we could be on the verge of Seattle, of Lumen Field. The road to the Super Bowl in the NFC could go through Lumen Field. And you know what they say about Lumen Field with the 12th man and the whole 9? I mean, what a story. What an incredible game. Not much more to say. We got a lot to get into, so we're gonna try not to waste too much time here. So, Michael Bullock, come on in here, sir. Man, oh man, oh my God. I mean, I still can't believe that game last night.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I can't believe it either. I mean, just when you thought that maybe the Rams were gonna somehow win this game, but Seattle definitely, they showed their toughness and they came back and somehow won this game. And like you said, I mean, could you imagine if if they went out the rest of the way that the road to Super Bowl 60 on the NFC side going through Lumen Field, and like you said, I mean Lumen Field, the 12th man. I mean that's a true home field advantage in the NFL. So, but yeah, I mean it was a great game. I mean especially with Puka Nakua over 200 yards receiving. I mean, but and yet it still wasn't enough. But who knows? Maybe these two could meet again come playoff time. Maybe for the right to go to Super Bowl 60. You never know. So, but yeah, there's really nothing more to say. What a game that was. So, with that being said, Flora, let's get into the rest of Week 16. And we actually have a couple of games going down tomorrow.
Indeed, we do. Both on Fox, and the top two crews are going to be working them. So a special kickoff time of 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Fox. It'll be a rematch of the NFC Championship game. The first meeting, believe it or not, between these two since then. The Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the Washington Commanders. Northwest Stadium, formerly FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. And on the call for that one, it will be Joe Davis, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver. Philadelphia opening up as a 7-point favorite. Washington leads the all-time regular season series 89-85 with 5 ties. Both teams split last year, both teams winning at home. So Washington won in Washington last year, 36-33. Philly last won there the year before in 2023, 38-31. So let's dive on in. Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio's defense has turned it up since Philadelphia's Week 9 bye, ranking first in opponent completion percentage, second in opponent passer rating, and third in points allowed a game. Philadelphia limited Las Vegas to 75 total yards last week, marking the fewest yards allowed by a team since 2023. Fangio gave the offense a good bit of the credit in the shutout, noting that it moved the ball and got the run game going. Anytime you have a game like that, usually the whole team contributes. Clock draining drives on offense coupled with this dominant defense is a winning formula. If Washington wants to upset Philadelphia, it must start with the run game. Washington started the season strong in this area, ranking first in rushing yards after 5 weeks, partly because of its quarterback runs. Commanders have rushed for at least 145 yards in 4 of their last 6 games, a result of playing in closer matchups, but also due to strong blocking from the tight ends and offensive line. Rookie running back Ja'Cory Croskett Merritt is coming off a 96-yard game in which half his yards came after first contact. Chris Rodriguez Jr. will be used for his power. Both need to improve in the passing game. But Commander coach Dan Quinn said I like the combination of the two. They're different in size, but both of them have an aggressive style, and so they can break tackles. After recording only 3 receiving touchdowns for the first 9 games of the season, Eagles receiver A.J. Brown has 4 over the last 4 games. And what is at stake? Well, the Eagles can clinch the NFC East with a win or a Cowboys loss to the LA Chargers. Philadelphia could be the first repeat champion of the NFC East in 20 seasons. And the FPI likes their chances. 68% going with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this one as well. I'm going to go 24-17. I got this feeling Washington's going to give them some fits, but I do believe Philly will pull it out at the end. So give me Philadelphia to win 24-17 and win the NFC East yet again. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Philadelphia, Washington to kick off week number 16, the first half of that Super Saturday doubleheader on Fox tomorrow.
Yeah, what a difference. I mean, earlier this year the Eagles and Commanders were fighting for a trip to the Super Bowl, and for the Commanders, it's just been a very disappointing season, and so much so that they've shut down Jaden Daniels for the rest of the season, which I think is the right move because
Agreed.
yeah, this team isn't going anywhere, and you don't want to put your franchise quarterback at risk. So Yeah, I think they will give him fits, but still think at the end of the day, the Eagles will win and capture the NFC East championship. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on to the other half of that Super Saturday doubleheader.
And it's a big one. Oh, is it a big one? Get ready, as it will be an NFC North divisional matchup. The Green Bay Packers squaring off against the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field in Chicago. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, they will be there. And the spread favors Chicago. Chicago opening up as a 1.5 point favorite. These two teams just met. They just met almost 2 weeks ago, back on December the 7th in Green Bay. And it was the Green Bay Packers winning that game by a score of 28-21. So when you add that result in, Green Bay adds to their overall series lead of, listen to this, 108-95 with 6 ties. The oldest and greatest rivalry gets the primetime stage. Both teams split last season, but Green Bay won in Chicago. And as a matter of fact, the Packers have won in Chicago each of the last 6 years. The Chicago Bears have not beaten the Packers at home since 2018, and that was a 24-17 final. All right, Bullock, huge game right here. Green Bay, Chicago, NFC North on the line. I mean, I believe whoever wins this game could very well win the NFC North.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever comes out of this is going to end up winning that NFC North. I mean, but of course, we all know the big story when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. Micah Parsons lost for the season
with
a torn ACL.
He was doing so well too.
Yeah, he was doing so well until that, and that's really going to hurt this team a little bit. So, yeah, this is a tough one here, but I think because of that injury, I got to give the edge to the Bears. So, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this one. So, it's yours, Florio.
There's no downplaying the impact Micah Parsons had after he arrived in Green Bay via trade before the start of the season. But now that the Packers have lost him to a season-ending knee injury, at least they can go back to an entire offseason of planning before they even knew getting Parsons was a possibility. That's where defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley comes in. Not only does he have plenty of play calls that didn't include Parsons, but he has proven to be adept at rallying players. He said a week ago, we're in here after we beat Chicago, and we're all walking in here all upbeat and ready to roll. I said, shame on you if you walk in here any different today. That's not who we are. That's our job as leaders and coaches, to make sure that we don't do that. We've got really good players. We've played good defense, and we're going to continue to play good defense. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams played arguably his best game of the season against the Cleveland Browns as he surpassed his touchdown total from his rookie season and got the Bears offense off to its fastest start in weeks. His mechanics, accuracy, and anticipation of coverages stood out to Coach Ben Johnson as a sign of comfort and command. A repeat of last week's performance from Williams would go a long way in helping the Bears lock up a playoff berth. If I play how I played this past game, or if I play better than that, we've got a real shot to do whatever we want in this league, Caleb Williams said. And speaking of Caleb Williams, he needs 689 passing yards to break the Chicago Bears single-season record. Eric Kramer had 3,838 passing yards in 1995. What a story. And it's very simple. The winner of this game will clinch a playoff berth if the Detroit Lions lose to Pittsburgh. But neither team can win the NFC North this week. The FPI gives a slight edge to Green Bay. They give it 58% to the Green Bay Packers. But I got to go with Michael Bullock on this one. I mean, I think that Parsons injury is definitely going to be a difference here. And let's also not forget, this game's in Chicago, not in Green Bay. So if it was at Lambeau, maybe I would go with the Packers. But in this instance, I got to go with the Chicago Bears here. But But would we be surprised if Green Bay stole this one? No, certainly not. But we have to give the edge to Chicago here. So I agree with you, Bullock, on this one. I'm going to go 27-24. Chicago defeats Green Bay. And with that, we move on now to the Sunday slate of this week 16. We start with the early games. We have 7 of them, and we're going to start it off with a huge one. This one, we talk about whoever wins this game. Well, we talked about Green Bay and Chicago. Whoever won that game would take over the NFC North. Well, the winner of this game will have somewhat of an inside track to the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Chris Myers, Mark Schlereth, and Jen Hale. They will be on the call. Tampa Bay opening up as a 3-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors Carolina, but it's only 25-24. Tampa Bay has won the last 5 meetings in a row. They swept last year, including a 26-23 overtime win in Charlotte last year. They've won the last 2 meetings in Charlotte. Carolina hasn't beaten the Bucs at home since 2022, and that was a 21-3 final. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield said there has not been any finger pointing in the Bucs locker room despite the team losing its last 2 games to divisional opponents, and that it's unfair to pin this on the defense. Mayfield said the finger pointing is only happening if you have bad culture in the building. That's not a problem we have to deal with. We met on Monday with the offense, and I told them what I said in the post-game press conference. I said, it's on me. It's on this group. I expect us to be able to score more than 28 points in a situation like that and put the game out of reach. Panthers wide receiver Tedoroa McMillan said, the ball is in our court. It's just our job to make sure we put it in the rim. That's what he said as the Panthers prepare for the first of 2 games against Tampa Bay over the final 3 weeks, with the teams tied for first in the NFC South with identical 7-7 records. Carolina blew a chance last Sunday to be in the driver's seat with a last-second loss at New Orleans. Now it needs a sweep of Tampa Bay for a realistic shot, but having a chance is all the team cares about now. The Buccaneers defense is allowing 9.8 yards a catch per reception in its last 6 games since week 10, second most in the NFL in that span, behind only the Philadelphia Eagles, allowing 11.2. These 2 teams are tied atop the NFC South standings at 7-7. The Bucs hold the tiebreaker over Carolina based on win percentage in common games. The FPI gives a slight edge to Tampa Bay, 57% going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm going to be honest, I have had a very tough time with this one, but I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. I'm going to go 31-28. Tampa Bay defeats Carolina, but I would not at all be surprised if the Carolina Panthers won this game. I would not. So very tough to call, but I got to give the slight edge to Tampa Bay here. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Tampa Bay, Carolina, sole possession of first in the NFC South. These 2 teams meet twice over the final 3 weeks.
Yeah, this should be a good one here. I mean, with the NFC South on the line, but I just got to give the slight edge to Tampa because I just think they're the better team. But like you said, I would not at all be surprised if Carolina were to pull this one out. So, but I'm going to go with Tampa as well. So let's move on to the next game.
And the next game, as we go over to CBS, and it will be my team, the Buffalo Bills, squaring off against the Cleveland Browns. Huntington Bank Stadium in Cleveland, the Dog Pound, of course. Iron Eagle, J.J. Watt, Evan Washburn. They will have it. And Buffalo opening up as a 10.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two, it favors the Cleveland Browns. It's only 12-10. Last meeting was 2022. They had to play the game in Detroit due to nasty weather in Buffalo. Buffalo won that game 31-23. Last meeting in Cleveland was 2019, and the Browns actually won that game 19-16. The Buffalo Bills have not won in Cleveland since 2012, and that was a 24-14 final. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, we got Buffalo squaring off against Cleveland in the dog pound, and and I mean this in the nicest possible way. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna retract that, but I'm just gonna say it like this: virtual handshake to you, my friend. That was one hell of a game we had a week ago.
Oh man,
and I still cannot for the life of me believe that Buffalo pulled that off after how dominant your Patriots were in the first half.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Florio. Your team cannot look past this Cleveland Browns team. I mean, I get it that the record's not that good for them, but remember what I told you before. A team that's dangerous is the one that's literally got nothing to play for.
And for Buffalo, there's only one thing I need them to there are two things I need them to do.
They have to stay focused.
First things first. For Buffalo, there are the two most important things I need for Buffalo to do. Obviously win, of course, but the other thing, keep Myles Garrett away from Josh Allen.
Because he has been known as a game wrecker.
And he's on the verge of history.
And that's the thing too. So yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, so Buffalo, they gotta win this game to keep up with New England, and like I said, they can't look past the Browns because
no,
they are they're a team with nothing to play for, and they want to play the role of spoilers. So
they do.
We'll see what happens with this, but I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to win this one. They should be able to handle their business, but I'm telling you, Florio, they better not take Cleveland lightly, or they might sneak up on them and pull off the upset.
Very possible. And we have some breaking news. As I predicted last night, the Alabama Crimson Tide have defeated the Oklahoma Sooners 34-24. Alabama, the first team to advance in the college football playoff, and they are heading to Pasadena to take on the number 1 seed, the Indiana Hoosiers, in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. How about it?
Oh boy. Yep. Yeah, this is a team that many people thought had no business being in the college football playoff. Well,
I called it.
They just showed everyone like, oh really? You say we don't deserve to be in there? Well, how about what we just did?
They just went into Oklahoma. They beat the Sooners. I believe I had that one.
You did.
So, yeah. But Bama moves on. They will meet Indiana in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Oh my goodness, what a game that is going to be. Oof. If it's anything like what Alabama did with Michigan 2 years ago, we could be in for something just as special. So, all right. So with that being said, my thoughts now on Buffalo and Cleveland. Bills quarterback Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, has firmly planted himself back in that awards conversation, but his focus is elsewhere. He simply said, I'm just trying to do my job, just trying to find a way to get in the playoffs here. Josh Allen has at the age of 29, Josh Allen has a chance to make history on Sunday. With just one more touchdown, Josh Allen will become the youngest and fastest NFL player to reach 300 scores. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett is one sack away from tying the NFL single-season sack record shared by Michael Strahan in 2001 and TJ Watt in 2021. And he's 1.5 sacks away from breaking it. Surpassing 22.5 sacks through 15 games played would give Garrett the distinction of achieving the feat in fewer games than it took Strahan when he did it in 2001, which was 16. And in just as many as it took TJ Watt in 2021. And Browns cornerback Denzel Ward said, "That's why I got to get back on the field," said Denzel Ward, who missed last week's game and is currently questionable because of a calf injury. "I told him, don't break the record without me out there. I got to be out there when he breaks the record. I'm hoping he gets to break the record this week. And like I said, it's not a matter if, but when he gets that record. And just a credit to him and the work that he's put in the entire defense. You can't do it alone." Josh Allen has had 3 passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions in each of his last 2 games. No Bills quarterback has ever had 3 straight games with 3 passing touchdowns. And what is at stake? Well, the Bills can clinch a playoff berth this week. The Bills can clinch a playoff berth this week with a win and a loss by either the Houston Texans to Las Vegas or Indianapolis to San Francisco on Monday night. The Buffalo Bills have the highest FPI of any team this week. Well, there's a tie, but there's there are 2 teams that have the same FPI, but Buffalo gets the slight edge by 1/10 of a point. The FPI gives it to Buffalo 80%. 80% going with the Buffalo Bills to win this one. And of course, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to win this game. But as I always say, and Bullock, I appreciate the reminder on this. As a Bills fan, I respect every opponent that my team plays, no matter how good or bad they are. And it's going to be, the Bills are heavy favorites here, of course, and they need to win if they want to keep pace with the New England Patriots in the AFC East. I mean, they've been on a roll these last few games. They've showed that they have been a second half team in the last 3 weeks against Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and New England. They showed you that they are a second half team. I'm hopeful that it doesn't come down to that again. I'm hopeful that this will be, a clean cut, decisive win, and that they can keep pace with New England in the AFC East and let the chips fall where they may from there. But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to win this game. I would not at all be surprised if Myles Garrett does get a sack or 2. I would not be surprised. So give me Buffalo here. I'm going to go 24-13. Buffalo defeats Cleveland on Sunday. Moving on to our next matchup. It will be the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys. This one on Fox. Adam Amin, Drew Brees, Christina Pink will have it. And believe it or not, Dallas is opening up as a 2-point favorite in this one. And the series history, when it comes to the Cowboys and the Chargers, it favors the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas looks like it is, I want to say this says 8-5, I believe. Yeah, 8-5 in favor of Dallas. Dallas has won the last 2 meetings, both in LA. 20-17 in 2023. Last meeting in Dallas, 2017. Chargers won that one, 28-6. The Cowboys have not beaten the... Wow. I can't believe I'm reading this, but the Dallas Cowboys have not beaten the San Diego Chargers at home or the LA Chargers at home since they were the San Diego Chargers all the way back in 1990. 1990, the last time the Cowboys beat the Chargers at home, 17-14 at the old Texas Stadium. So with that, let's dive on into the Chargers and the Cowboys. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert has thrown the 3rd most interceptions in the NFL this season at 12 and the 2nd most of his career. This comes a season after Herbert threw the fewest interceptions in the league and of his career, 3. But he said the uptick in turnovers will not change his play style. He said, just because I've thrown one before doesn't mean that I'm going to play scared or I can't throw another one. By the time the Cowboys kick off against the Chargers, they will likely know whether they have been eliminated from the playoffs if the Eagles beat the Commanders tomorrow. But Coach Brian Schottenheimer's message to the players will not change. All about winning, he said. It's always going to be all about winning, whether we're sitting at undefeated or wherever we are today. It's always going to be about winning because, again, our mantra and central theme of the program is compete every day. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is 69 passing yards shy of his fourth 4,000-yard season. That would tie Tony Romo for the most in franchise history. The Chargers can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a loss by either Houston or Indianapolis. They would be eliminated from AFC West title contention with a loss and a Denver win. The Cowboys are eliminated from playoff contention with a loss or an Eagles win. Very close FPI. The Chargers have it, but it's only 51%. But in all honesty, I got to give a slight edge to the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to pull this one out. I'm going to go 24-21. The Chargers defeat Dallas. But would I be surprised if Dallas won? No, because Dallas is very scrappy, as we know. So, but I got to give a slight edge to the Chargers. 24-21, give me LA. So, Michael Bullock, Chargers and Cowboys. Who you got?
Yeah, I got to go with the Chargers as well. I mean, I think they're the better team, and and of course, you know where I stand with Dallas with the way they've struggled in big games. So I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this one. So let's move on to the next game.
That game at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Jerry World, of course. So, all right, moving on. I believe we have MF's team up next. Yep. All right. It will be the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Miami Dolphins. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Aditi Kinkabuela will be on the call for that one. Cincinnati opening up as a 4-point favorite. And the series history with the Bengals and the Dolphins, it favors the Dolphins. Miami leads the all-time series 17-8. But the Bengals won the last meeting in 2022. That was in Cincinnati, 27-15. Last meeting in Miami, 2020. Miami winning 19-7. The Bengals have not won in Miami since 2007. 38-25, the final. Bullock, obviously, both of these teams are out of the playoff race. By the way, this game came in as our number 4 game of the week. The Buffalo Cleveland, I believe, came in at 5. So. But anyway, Cincinnati and Miami at number 4 here. Of course, we know the big story. Tua Tagovailoa out. Quinn Ewers in for Miami.
Yeah, especially after what happened with the last game, and obviously now being eliminated from postseason contention. And obviously Mike McDaniel decided to make a change that Quinn Ewers is now going to be the starter the rest of the way. And Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the emergency third string quarterback, and Zach Wilson is going to be the backup. So that just shows you how they feel about Tua right now. And I'm going to say this right here, right now. I think we've seen the last of Tua in Miami. They're going to find some way to trade him, or and maybe it's time for them to go in a different direction. So I think because of the injuries to the Dolphins and the not so good playing, I got to go with the Cincinnati Bengals to win this one. So it is yours, Florio.
Agreed. Let's pull it up here. Cincinnati will have a chance to evaluate its roster in the final 3 games. That includes the 6 rookies who have seen the field this season. That could involve defensive end Shamar Stewart, who could potentially make his return from injured reserve to face Miami rookie quarterback Quinn Ewers. Coach Zach Taylor said, I'm fired up when we do get him out there, whether it's this week or not, for the future that he's got here, because he's a guy that I'm really high on. Mike McDaniel made the biggest decision of his head coaching career, benching Tua Tagovailoa for Quinn Ewers this week. McDaniel said he needed more conviction at the quarterback position, and that Ewers gives this team its best chance to win Sunday. In terms of what Miami's game plan will look like against Cincinnati, offensive coordinator Frank Smith said Ewers has such a firm grasp of the playbook that the Dolphins don't plan on changing much. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase has had a career-high 6 100-yard receiving games this season. Both teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. The Bengals have a 62% chance to land a top 10 pick in the draft, and the Dolphins have a 55% chance, according to ESPN Analytics. 70% is the FPI in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game as well. 23-17, give me Cincinnati to defeat Miami. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the New York Giants, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey in the Meadowlands. That'll be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Megan O'Leary on the call for Fox. And the spread favors Minnesota by 2.5. Minnesota leads the regular season series 18-10. And the Vikings won last year in MetLife 28-6. They've actually won the last 5 regular season meetings against the Giants. Giants last beat them in 2013, 23-7 in New York in a regular season game. Overall, it was January of 2023 in a playoff game. The Giants winning in Minnesota 31-24. So let's get into the Vikings and the Giants here. The Vikings' late season schedule has gifted quarterback J.J. McCarthy another chance to demonstrate statistical improvement. The Giants' defense ranks number 29 in the NFL in EPA per play. McCarthy is coming off the 2 best games of his career against Washington and Dallas, whose defenses ranked 30th and 32nd in EPA per play, respectively. A true measure of McCarthy's progress could come if the Giants blitz as often as they usually do, which is 41% of dropbacks. And to date, McCarthy has the lowest QBR against the blitz at 6.5. Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart expects to see things Sunday he has never seen before. Just chaos. Chaos, he said, of what he sees from Minnesota defensive coordinator Brian Flores' defense on tape. The Vikings have blitzed at a league high 49% this season. That provides quite the challenge for Dart and the Giants, who are looking for their first win since week 6. McCarthy is coming off career highs in passing yards 250, yards per attempt 10.4, and total QBR 86 last Sunday night. Both teams eliminated from the playoffs. Giants have a 75% chance of getting a top 5 draft pick. FPI likes the Giants here. They're giving the Giants, but it's not overwhelming. It's only 55%, but they like the Giants. But I'm sorry, I disagree. With all due respect, I got to go with Minnesota in this one. I like what I've seen the last couple of weeks from Minnesota, so I'm going with Minnesota to win. I'm going to go 30-23. Minnesota goes into the Meadowlands and beats the Giants for the second year in a row. So give me Minnesota. So Michael Bullock, Minnesota and the Giants. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. I think, I like the way they've been playing lately. And, so I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Giants. So let's move on to the next game.
And we have one left, and it is our Zonk game of the week. I should have done this one beforehand, but that's okay. It's been a long day and night anyway. Last early game, it's the New York Jets squaring off against the New Orleans Saints. This is our number 6 game of the week on our side of the ledger. Tom McCarthy, Ross Tucker, Tiffany Blackman will have the call. New Orleans opening up as a 6.5-point favorite here. And series history when it comes to the Saints and the Jets, which, by the way, will be at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. New Orleans leads the regular season series 8-6. Saints have won the last 2 meetings, including the last one in New Orleans, which was 2017, 31-19. The Jets have not won in New Orleans since 2001, 16-9. I think that was a Sunday night game, if I recall correctly. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, our final early game. We got the Jets and the Saints in the Superdome. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints to win this one. I mean, I just think that they're the better team here, and basically, obviously, Jets going nowhere, especially to the point that their best receiver Garrett Wilson, they're just gonna sit him for the rest of the season. So
yes.
So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Chris Harris will make his debut as the interim defensive coordinator, inheriting a unit that allowed 82 points in the last 2 games. Harris, a first-time play caller, will not make significant changes, just some tweaks. Less blitzing, perhaps. He said, I'm a former player. I understand how they think. We want to play with grit. We want to play with toughness. Those are things we want to try and put on display. Saints wide receiver Devon Vale and running back Devin Neal have already been ruled out. So quarterback Tyler Show will have fewer playmakers. Expect to see running backs Evan Hall and Audric Estime share carries, while practice squad receiver Kevin Austin Jr. should see increased opportunities like he did last week. I think Joel Thomas is one of the best running backs coaches in the league, so he prepares these guys as good as anyone I've ever been around. And so these guys are dialed, Saints coach Kellen Moore said. The Jets' 3 takeaways so far this season are the fewest of all time through a team's first 14 games. Both teams obviously eliminated from playoff contention. Jets have a 71% chance to land a top 5 pick in the draft. Wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this. The FPI is in favor of New Orleans, 76% going with the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to win this one as well. I'm going to go 26-16. New Orleans defeats the Jets. That takes care of the early window. Well, actually, no, we actually have one early game left. I apologize. Like I said, it's been a long day for both of us. So this is our Zonk game of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins will be on the call. And Kansas City opening up as a 3-point favorite. Series history between these two, it favors Kansas City, 28-24 in the regular season. Kansas City won the last meeting 20-17 in overtime at Arrowhead in 2022. Last meeting in Nashville, believe it or not, Tennessee steamrolled Kansas City 27-3. Kansas City has not won in Nashville since 2013. That was 26-17 the final. So let's dive on in to the Chiefs and the Titans, our Zonk game of the week. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay, I think I got it here. Backup quarterback Gardner Minshew, a 7-year veteran, will be the Chiefs starter for the final 3 games after Patrick Mahomes tore 2 ligaments in his left knee last week. The stretch will serve as an audition for Minshew to remain with the Chiefs next season. After all, the Chiefs don't have another quarterback under contract for 2026. Minshew said it's an opportunity to step in and do my job. Being how there's a lot of guys that have put a ton of work into this, I owe it to them. I owe it to this coaching staff, this team, and this fan base to go out and do my best to give us the best chance to win. The Titans are looking to close out their home schedule with 2 wins, starting with the Chiefs. That's the plan, to win both of those at the crib and go into next year with a little home game winning streak, because that's what our fans need to see, quarterback Cam Ward said. Tennessee has not won consecutive games at Nissan Stadium since December of 2021, but with running back Tony Pollard having posted back-to-back 100-yard rushing performances, the Titans are molding into a physical, run-first team down the stretch. The Titans are 4-2 versus the Chiefs since Andy Reid became Chiefs head coach in 2013. Tennessee is one of 4 teams with a winning regular season record versus Kansas City under Andy Reid. Believe it or not, both teams are eliminated from playoff contention. Titans have a 19% chance at the number 1 pick in next April's draft. The FPI still loves Kansas City here. 69% going with Kansas City. I'm going with Kansas City. It's going to be closer than you think. I think Kansas City will just barely pull it out. I'm going to go 20-17. Kansas City defeats Tennessee. Not much more to say. Michael Bullock, there's nothing left to say except, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Kansas City Chiefs out of the playoffs, not going to the postseason for the first time since 2014, which means we are guaranteed a new AFC champion this year.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that. I mean, that Kansas City is not even going to be in the playoffs. So we're going to have a new champ and and obviously no Patrick Mahomes, torn ACL as well. So, but I still got Kansas City winning this one. I mean, Tennessee obviously is the favorite to once again have the number one overall pick in the draft. So I'm gonna go with Kansas City to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, now we're going to go to the late games now. We got 4 of them, 2 at 4:05 on Fox and 2 at 4:25 on CBS. We'll start with the Fox games first, and we're going to kick it off with the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals from State Farm Stadium, formerly the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale. Jason Benetti, Brady Quinn, and Sarah Kustok will have the call for that one. And the spread favors Atlanta. Atlanta opening up as a 3-point favorite. And the series history between the Falcons and the Cardinals, it favors. Oh, I just had it. All right. It favors Arizona 17-16. Arizona won the last meeting 2 years ago, 25-23 in Arizona. Atlanta has not won in Arizona since 2001, 34-14. If I'm reading this correctly, yes, 2001. That's the last time. So Bullock, Atlanta and Arizona kicking off our late window.
Yeah, obviously both teams going nowhere here, so I'm actually going to go with the Atlanta Falcons to win this one. So I don't think there's really anything else for me to say. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. All right. Atlanta offensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich said he slept on Cardinals tight end Trey McBride last season when the coach was with the Jets. He won't do that again. In fact, Ulbrich said he believes McBride is the engine of the Arizona offense and someone who has a chance to be one of the better tight ends that has played this game. It could end up being a battle of tight ends with the Falcons' Kyle Pitts Sr. coming off a 166-yard, 3-touchdown performance. And McBride is coming off his best game of the season, and that's saying something, with 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on 12 catches. Last week, the Cardinals could hear the Texans' frustration with trying to contain McBride and hope to draw the same kind of frustration out of the Falcons. Even though both teams have experience practicing against elite tight ends, it might not matter in the long run. Jacoby Brissett said, obviously, after a while, you kind of look at the tablet and you're like, how are they trying to do it? And then the picture becomes a little bit more clear and you're able to manipulate it a little bit. Like I said, I have the easy part of just finding him and throwing him in the ball. It makes bad throws look like good catches. Of the Falcons' 48 defensive sacks, second most in the NFL, 15 have been by rookies. James Pierce Jr. leads the team with 8 sacks. Both teams eliminated from playoff contention. The Los Angeles Rams hauled the Falcons' first-round pick from their trade during the 2025 NFL draft. The FPI actually gives a slight edge to Arizona, 53%. But I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win this one as well. I'm going to go 28-24. Atlanta defeats Arizona. The other 405 game on Fox, and it's the AFC game of the week. It got cross-flexed over to Fox. This would have been our game if it had been on our side of the ledger, but it's a good one. Oh, it's a good one. This could end up being a playoff preview. You never know. We could see this sometime next month. You never know. The Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Denver Broncos in Power Field at Mile High in Denver. And on the call for that one, it will be Kevin Kugler, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Allison Williams. Denver opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Denver leads the regular season series 7-6. Broncos have won the last 2 meetings in a row, including their last meeting in 2022 in London, Denver winning 21-17. Last meeting in Denver was 2019, and Jacksonville won that one, 26-24. Broncos' last home win over the Jags was 2013 when they smashed the Jags 35-19. So here we go. All right. A good matchup will be the Jaguars' red zone offense versus the Broncos' red zone defense, which is the best in the NFL. Teams have scored touchdowns on only 38.5% of their red zone drives against Denver, the only team holding opponents to touchdowns on less than 45% of their drives. The Jaguars' offense ranks 13th in the red zone, but during the team's 5-game win streak, it has scored touchdowns on 71% of its red zone drives. And quarterback Trevor Lawrence has an NFL high 10 passing touchdowns in the red zone during the streak. Over the last 5 games, Lawrence has thrown 12 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions and has 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions over the last 4. With the Broncos in position to clinch the AFC West for the first time since 2015, the league's top pass rush is going to be important against Lawrence. The Broncos are the league's best at quick pressures, while Lawrence has been one of the more difficult quarterbacks to get quick pressure on this season. 18th at 11% of his dropbacks, and he was not sacked in 3 of the Jaguars' last 5 games. Denver's defense has 27 sacks in its 7 home games. Broncos running back R.J. Harvey, 6 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns this season, needs 1 receiving touchdown to become the 5th rookie in NFL history with 5 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. Broncos need a win and a Charger loss to Dallas to clinch the AFC West. To clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC, Denver needs a win and losses by the Chargers to Dallas, New England to Baltimore, and Buffalo to Cleveland this week. Jacksonville needs a win and a loss by either Houston or Indianapolis just to make the playoffs. FPI goes with Denver, 58%, and I am going to go with the Denver Broncos to win this game as well, especially with it being in Denver. If it was in Jacksonville, I would have had a tougher time with it, but I got to go with Denver here. I'm going to go 26-23. Denver defeats Jacksonville in what should be a very good game. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, the AFC game of the week on Fox, Jacksonville and Denver. Huge implications on both sides.
Yeah, Jacksonville basically has a chance to really pull off the upset here. I mean, they got the talent, but I've just been so impressed with the Denver Broncos, not just defensively, but with the way Bo Nix has been playing offensively. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos to win this one. So let's get into the 4:25 window on CBS.
And this is our number 2 game of the week when it comes to our side. The Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against the Detroit Lions, Ford Field in Detroit. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, and Detroit. Believe it or not, Detroit opening up as a 7-point favorite, believe it or not. 7 for Detroit. Series history favors Pittsburgh 17-14 with 2 ties. Speaking of a tie, their last meeting ended in a tie. 16-16 in Pittsburgh in 2021. Last meeting in Detroit, 2017, Pittsburgh winning 20-15. The Lions have not beaten the Steelers overall and at home since the infamous 1998 Thanksgiving game at the old Silverdome, when the Lions won 19-16 in overtime because of which of course led to the most controversial coin toss in NFL history. We all remember how that infamous coin toss went down. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, number 2 game of the week on our end. We got a good one here. Pittsburgh, Detroit, Ford Field. Major implications on both sides. Lions haven't beaten the Steelers since the infamous coin toss incident, Thanksgiving of 98.
Yeah, and Detroit really needs to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. And Pittsburgh, of course, coming off that huge win on Monday night, so it's a tough one here, but I'm going to give the slight edge to the Detroit Lions to win this one. So give me Detroit. It's yours.
Yeah, right there with you. The Pittsburgh defense is primed to go another week without star pass rusher T.J. Watt as he recovers from surgery to repair a partially collapsed lung. And that's not the only impactful injury in the front 7. Nick Herbig, who played 26 defensive snaps against Miami Monday night, injured his hamstring and is questionable. But the Steelers should get a boost to their run defense with rookie defensive tackle Derek Harmon, with a knee returning after missing the last 3 games. Cameron Hayward said there's a theme with these last couple of games and stopping the run. And when we do that, we win the game. The emergence of running back Jahmyr Gibbs has also reduced the role of backfield mate David Montgomery, but Lions coach Dan Campbell would like to get Montgomery more touches to strengthen the ground game during this final stretch. Montgomery had just 7 carries for 32 yards last week, but Campbell said the veteran back has handled the situation like a pro so far. It's something I think about a lot is how do we get them all involved? He's one of those. When they're all involved, we're just better. We're a better offense. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is averaging 5.6 air yards per attempt, which is the fewest in the NFL among 32 qualified quarterbacks, and on pace to be his fewest in a season as a full-time starter. This game has massive playoff implications for both teams. The Steelers have a 62% chance of making the playoffs, which would increase to 80% with a win, but decrease to 53% with a loss. Lions currently have a 36% chance, which would increase to 47% with a win, but go all the way down to 16% with a loss. So needless to say, this game is massive for both sides. But the FPI goes with Detroit. They give Detroit a solid FPI here, 67%, going with the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions to win this one. I'm going to go 34-28. Detroit defeats Pittsburgh in what should be a very exciting matchup. Can't really say the same about our final late game. This is another one of our dud games of the week. The Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Houston Texans. NRG Stadium in Houston, formerly Reliant Stadium. Andrew Catalon, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, and AJ Ross. Houston opening up as a 14-point favorite. And when it comes to the series history, Houston leads that 7-5. Last meeting was 2022 in Vegas, Raiders winning 38-20. Last meeting in Houston, 2019, Houston winning 27-24. The Raiders have not won in Houston since 2013, and that was a 28-23 final. So, yeah, there's nothing really much to get into on this one. Whether quarterback Geno Smith with a shoulder or Kenny Pickett starts Sunday, it will not make much of a difference because of the team's struggles on the offensive line. Las Vegas has allowed at least 4 sacks in 9 games this season. The Texans have playmakers at all their spots, particularly Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter jump out, Coach Pete Carroll said. We've got to make sure that we're doing a good job of keeping them from owning the game. The Raiders rank last in points a game, 14, and Houston has the NFL's #1 defense. Texans are coming off a game in which they allowed 20 points to Arizona, and Coach DeMeco Ryan said that game was not up to our standard, so expect Houston to try to shut out Las Vegas. 65% of Raiders running back Ashton Genty's rushing yards have come after contact, highest rate in the NFL among 70 players with 50-plus rushes this season. Texans currently have a 95% chance of making the playoffs. With a win, those odds will jump to 97%, independent of other outcomes. And in week 9, they only had an 11% chance of making the playoffs back in week 9. Only 11%. And with this win, it'll go from 95 to 97. The other big FPI of the week, Buffalo was 80.4%. Houston, 80.3%. But needless to say, 80% going with the Houston Texans. And I am certainly going with the Houston Texans. They're going to roll in this one. I'm going to go 34-10. Houston all over Las Vegas. And I'll even go as far as to call this the lock of the week. 34-10, Houston. Houston going to smash Vegas. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock.
Yeah, Houston's gonna smash the Vegas Raiders, and they are gonna be all over them. So, give me Houston to win. Let's move on to Sunday Night Football.
You ready?
Ready.
Here you go. It's your team. It's your New England Patriots squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens. M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, as always. Baltimore opening up as a 3-point favorite. And the series history when it comes to the Patriots and the Ravens, which, by the way, this game is our number 3 game of the week. This game came in at number 3 on our end. Series history favors New England. Regular season, it favors New England 9-3. Last meeting, though, was 2022 in Foxborough. Baltimore winning that one 37-26. Last meeting in Baltimore was 2019. Baltimore defeating New England 37-20. New England has not won in Baltimore since 2013 when they smashed the Ravens 41-7. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's only fitting you started off here. New England, Baltimore, number 3 game of the week. Now, New England, golden opportunity to win the AFC East. But unfortunately, they came up a little bit short, obviously. Incredible first half. Second half, first half was all New England. Second half was all Buffalo. And Baltimore, they had that tough loss to Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, but they got back on track. They had a get-right game in Cincinnati, paid them back for embarrassing them on Thanksgiving. So Baltimore looking to keep pace with Pittsburgh in the AFC North, while New England, looking to get that really bad taste out of their mouth after they let Buffalo get away from them.
Yeah, they definitely let one get away, especially in that second half, and the players are thinking like, we can't let this happen again, and Baltimore, they're the ones fighting for their playoff lives. I mean, they need a win if they're gonna keep their playoff hopes going. So, and we all know the history with both of these squads. So, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with New England to win this one. I mean, I just think that Baltimore's been, how would you say it, Florio, that they're sort of a
Jekyll and Hyde?
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde this season. That's the best way to put it. So it's like you get a really good Baltimore team one game, and then next thing you know, they're not all that good. So until I see some consistency from them, I got to go with New England. So, and plus, New England really wants to put that sour taste of losing to Buffalo behind them, and I think a win would definitely do that. So, give me New England to win this one, but I would not at all be surprised if Baltimore does pull this one out. So it's yours.
Yeah. When the Patriots gathered for their initial team meeting of the week, Coach Mike Vrabel told them to expect to see running plays from the Ravens, similar to the rushes they faced last week against Buffalo. The Patriots' run defense had trouble controlling the line of scrimmage, staying in assigned gaps and building a wall, with Vrabel saying the Ravens will likely want to see where we're at with them. It does not help the team's cause that defensive tackle Milton Williams with an ankle remains on injured reserve, and linebacker Robert Spillane with a foot/ankle has been slowed by an injury that kept him sidelined last week and held out of practice this week. One of the biggest issues for Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense has been the lack of production inside the 20-yard line. Baltimore's red zone offense, believe it or not, ranks 31st, converting touchdowns only 44% of the time. But the Ravens are facing a Patriot defense that ranks dead last in the red zone, 75%. Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum said, we have to play our best football. Talent certainly is not an issue. We have all the playmakers in the world. It comes down to just execution. Patriots quarterback Drake May leads the NFL in QBR, 79, completion percentage, 70, and yards per and YPA at 9.2 on the road. The Patriots can clinch a playoff berth with a win, Houston loss, or Indianapolis loss. The Ravens have a 38% chance of making the playoffs. With a win, it goes up to 48%. A loss drops it down to 24%. And believe it or not, the FPI goes with Baltimore here, 60% going with the Baltimore Ravens. I got to be honest, this is another one of those games I've had a little bit of a back and forth with. But if I'm going to be honest, with the game being, if the game was in New England, maybe I go with the Patriots. But with this game being in Baltimore, I got to give a slight edge to the Ravens. I especially liked what I saw against Cincinnati. I mean, they wanted to pay them back for that embarrassment on Thanksgiving, and they did just that. So I'm going to go with Baltimore to win. I'm going to go 28-23. Baltimore defeats New England. But would I be surprised if the Patriots won this game? I certainly would not. So, and the question is, what is their mindset after that dominant first half, which they outscored Buffalo 24-7, only for Buffalo to outscore them in the second half 28-7. And it was the classic case of so close yet so far away for them. So we'll see, can they bounce back, or will the Ravens, get that big win? I mean, both teams desperately need it. New England still has the edge when it comes to the AFC East, whereas Baltimore trying to keep pace with Pittsburgh in the AFC North, especially when they have that huge when they meet in Pittsburgh in 2 weeks in the final week. So we'll see what happens. Final game of the night, it's Monday Night Football on ESPN. A matchup of the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, 8:15 kickoff on ESPN and simulcast on ABC. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, Laura Rutledge. San Francisco opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. Indianapolis, however, leads the regular season series 27-18. And the Colts have won the last 5 meetings in a row against San Francisco, including a 30-18 win in San Francisco in 2021 in their last meeting. Last meeting in Indy was 2017. Indy won that 26-23 in overtime. San Francisco has not won in Indianapolis and has also not beaten the Colts overall since 2001, when San Francisco went into the old RCA Dome and smashed the Colts 40-21. So final game of the night, and here we go. There's an alternate reality in which Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers' comeback happened 3 years ago, and he returned as a member of the 49ers. When injuries hit the Niners quarterback room in 2022, the team and Rivers discussed his return enough to the point he actually sat in on some video conferences. Ultimately, Brock Purdy proved ready for the job, but now Rivers and the Colts are the only thing standing between San Francisco and a playoff spot. Coach Kyle Shanahan said he actually found himself on a video call with Rivers last week as Rivers caught up with Niners defensive assistant Gus Bradley. I was telling him how cool it would be to return, and then about 10 seconds into it, I realized that we were playing against him in 10 days. Shanahan said, laughing. So I tried to kind of sway him away from that and tell him how dumb it would be. It didn't work. Can the Colts finally generate more offense? Indianapolis produced its 4 lowest yardage marks of the season in its last 4 games and needs to find ways to become more productive. In those games, the Colts have averaged about 18 points. All of this comes after the Colts began the season with the NFL's hottest offense, leading the league in scoring and yards a game through 10 weeks. For this trajectory to change, the Colts will have to get more out of Rivers, who came out of retirement to relieve injured quarterback Daniel Jones with an Achilles. Rivers threw for 120 passing yards last week in Seattle. The Colts have gone 3 straight games scoring fewer than 20 points. They have not done so in 4 or more consecutive games since a streak of 6 straight in 2017. The 49ers can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a Detroit loss to Pittsburgh. The Colts currently hold a 12% chance of making the playoffs. It improves to only 22% with a win, but would fall all the way down to 6% with a loss. FPI goes with San Francisco, 61% going with the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers to win this one as well. 31-24, give me San Francisco to defeat Indianapolis on Monday night. So nothing more to say except take us home, Bullock.
Will do, Florio. I mean, like you said, I just think San Fran is the better team here. I mean, I'm with you, so I'm going with the 49ers to beat the Colts on this one. So with that being said, let's put a bow on this, Florio.
All right, and that will indeed put the bow on this Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you again tomorrow night. right around 10 or 10:30 or so over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95 for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Back to normal. TNA Impact and Friday Night SmackDown. Tuesday, we got Ridiculously Raw, Monday Night Raw, and NXT. And we'll preview the 3 Christmas games in the NFL. And obviously no show on Wednesday and Thursday because of Christmas Eve and Christmas. So 1 week from tonight, Week 17 edition of NFL Friday, we'll recap the Christmas games and the notable games for next week. We got Houston and the Chargers. Good one there. Baltimore and Green Bay, another good one. Seattle and Carolina, that's a good one. Jacksonville and Indianapolis. Philadelphia, and of course, America's game of the week. And this could be a Super Bowl preview. You never know. Philadelphia and Buffalo. Ooh, is that going to be good? And then we have Chicago and San Francisco on Sunday Night Football. So that's next week. We'll get into all of it, though, as we always do. And so that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Brace 395, this is Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock. And in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher. And, of course, always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 16 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and streaming.com. And for everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long and bye, everybody, bye.